Everyone. It's nice to see we have a full house tonight. Because our cook enjoys having a full house, I know that. Anyway, I have a few guest introductions tonight. We have Tom Bauder, I hope I have that correctly, from West Point Lions. And Tom is working also on a short tale, which is a, well, maybe he can explain that later. And he's going to do a short presentation on canine companions for independence. We have Roy Patterson of Tracy and his wife Liz with Delta Lions. Marie, I'm sorry. Roy and Marie. And they're working on their short tales too. And we also have Jim Daney of Tracy working on his. So they're all working on their short tales, which is an award that they can win through the district by attending all the various clubs. So anyway, good to have you guys here. We have two special guests tonight. We have
private conversations.
Okay, get them, Gary. Our tail twister's watching you guys. So we have Mike Schimenti, who is the with the Bret Hart School, with the superintendent of schools, and Jim Bergant. Both of them are going to talk to us tonight on Measure K. So great to have you guys here. All right. Did I miss anybody? Does anyone have a guest that they'd like to introduce?
I have Jim Davis.
Oh, hi, Jim. And we shouldn't forget Paul in the back there with Paul's the camera. Okay. And they're $15. Okay. Moving on. Let's have Leon do the pledge. Past President Leon.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Let's see. Pat and Donna. They're going to do the song, and they harmonize, so they're pretty good.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the ocean, wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Oh, that's good. Jeannie, would you lead us in prayer, please?
I'm all choked up from the national anthem. Good job, you guys. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all of our new friends, all of our friends. Bless this food we're about to eat. Please welcome those that have passed recently and bless and help those that are sick. Amen.
All right. Well, normally we would next go to food, but I have just following prayer here. I'd like to mention we had two of our lions pass away this past week. John Campbell passed away on Friday. There's going to be a gathering at the Native Sons Hall on October the 3rd for John, his family. The other lion that passed away and he left our club about a year ago, moved 2 years ago, I think it was, right, Bob?
Something like that.
Moved to Oregon, and he's He's not been with us for the last 2 years, but he was a long-time member, and that's Francis Mert Kelly. He passed away on Sunday, and so maybe we could have a moment of silence for both of them. Okay, well, God bless and hope their families do well. Hope to see everyone that can make it to the memorial service on Friday, October the 3rd for John at the Native Sons at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay. Food. That's next. So we're going to
Right there on the table by the salad.
You don't shake hands because you're a banker. Good evening. Once again, first of all, I want to thank all of you for the hospitality, and I really would like to thank the cooks for a wonderful dinner, guys. You did a wonderful job. And I know the hour is late, and I really do appreciate this opportunity to come talk with you. Once again, my name is Michael Cimenti. I've been in this county now almost 20 years. I've been in education over 34 years. Prior to becoming the superintendent at Bret Harte, I was at the Vallecito School District up the hill for 9 years. And so almost every one of the kids who come into our school, I've seen grow up since they were kindergartners, and that really has been a real advantage for me. And I'm so pleased and tickled to see all of them achieve everything that they need to achieve, and really use Bret Harte as that springboard to go off to college or a trade school or wherever they need to go to be successful in life. There's a series of handouts. I'm not going to talk off the handouts, but I will talk on them. Every 5 years, a school district needs to enter into a process called a facility plan. And what you do is you develop a master plan for your school site. You look at the number of births, you look at the number of kids coming from the feeder school, and you assess your facilities needs to make sure that the high school or any school district can meet the needs of students in the future. Schools are built and they're supposed to last 30 years, and there are funds available from the state to allow us to modernize those schools. But schools at a certain point reach a point in time when, based on what we just did a facility study, we need to look at how else are we going to raise the additional funds necessary. And when we did this facility study, we sent out a survey to all of our current parents, a survey out to our feeder school 8th grade parents, and we held 3 community meetings. We held a meeting up in Avery, a meeting at Bret Harte for the Angels Camp folks, and a meeting down in Copperopolis. And we gathered all this information, and then our consultants put together a list of projects. And those list of projects range from, we have on Bret Harte campus a series of portable classrooms. And one of the projects being proposed in this bond is to replace those portable classrooms and put up a new 2-story, 10-classroom complex. 4 of those classrooms are going to be dedicated to science classrooms. Today's science classroom, in order to meet the needs of all of our students, have to be 1.5 times the size of a regular classroom. A regular classroom is around 1,000 square feet. So a science classroom with a place for the kids to sit at desks and then the labs around it have to be almost 1,500 square feet. There are also included in that are some general purpose classrooms and some additional special education classrooms. When you do a facility study, what you're trying to do is plan for that high school to grow from where we are right around 800 to a high school of 1,000 or 1,200, and still allow the quality of education to continue as it is today. Another one of those wonderful favorite projects that was on the list
was the completion of the sports complex. And that and that would include the aquatic center and the swimming pool. Carla is a swimming coach, and all of you know, or if you've been a part of the Angels Camp community and Murphy's community, the Veterans Clubs do a very wonderful job keeping our pools up and going. But one of the thoughts is that if this bond passes, and actually if it passes, we can break ground very quickly on a 25-meter by 25-yard competition swimming pool, and it will have a kiddie pool, zero clearance entrance, and that will complete the sports complex. So that's another project as part of this bond. When we talk about buildings that are 30 years old, we talk about systems like our HVAC system, our air conditioning ventilation system, that is antiquated and outdated. And it cost, for example, we just lost a compressor that was $10,000. And you start throwing good money after bad money. And so what we're trying to do with this bond is also generate enough dollars to renovate all of our HVAC systems. There's a requirement now by the state that the air has to move so many cubic feet per minute. And while our HVAC system does that, it's not doing it as efficiently as it could. What else is on there? There is some money for for the football field. But it's not the football field itself. What I would love to see us do is to renovate if you've been to one of our football games, the snack bar area, the restroom, and we're looking at putting a handicap access from the horseshoe parking lot, which is off of Murphy's Grade Road, onto the track itself to aid in having parents in wheelchairs and students in wheelchairs accessing our track. One of the other areas of concern or that was added to this based on information we received from the Copper community is the Copperopolis community would like to see some building out in the Copperopolis area. So some dollars of this bond money will go out to support the Copperopolis community. All of us have been around a long time, and when I first became superintendent, I went down and met with the Copper folks. And I don't know, about 2002 or so, the big buzz was Oak Canyon was going to explode, build 3,000 homes, and we were just going to be inundated with kids. And so when I went down to Copperopolis, we talked a lot about the fact that, our school isn't growing at the rate that we will ever probably need in my term as superintendent, a new comprehensive high school. Because when you talk about a comprehensive high school, all of us went to a comprehensive high school. That's where musics and sports and arts and dramas, all of those programs, and along with the high academic programs or classes, like our AP classes, are offered. And to, duplicate that on a smaller scale, it's very difficult. So when we went down and talked with the Copper folks, we understood that it would be great to help support them, and so there are some funds in this bond to build some joint use projects. And when you talk about a joint use project, it could be a library where the district and the community venture together, pool their funds together to build a library in the Copperopolis area. There are also some dollars in this bond that are going to help us continue to maintain Brevard High School. I'm very proud of being a part of an educational institution that wants to tell the students each and every day that they walk on that campus that we're glad to have you here. If you've driven by Brevard High School, if you were a student at Brevard High School, it reminds me of a college campus. The lawns are mowed, the buildings are well maintained, and for me, it says to our students that we're glad that you're here. It's important for you to be educated in a building, in an educational institution that says we're glad that you're here. And it pays dividends. When I'm out at break with the kids, they're helping me pick up stuff. And so even after lunch, when we have 800 plus kids we're feeding, that campus, of course, is a little bit of garbage, but the kids take pride because we try our very best to maintain those classrooms. So there are some dollars in this bond that are going to help us to continue to maintain the district or the school. Okay, most important thing, Jim is going to be here to talk about all the reasons why to vote yes on Measure K. As a superintendent, I have to just share some facts with you. So I'm going to continue to sharing a few more facts, and then we can take questions, or Jim will do his thing, and then we can take some questions. The most important thing is this board is very aware of the fact that we're in hard economic times. And we did do a survey, and what the survey told us, it told us a lot about what we're doing with kids and what we could do better. But there were some questions that centered around how much money are you willing to contribute on an annual basis to support a bond? And the range was $16 per $100,000 to $20 per $100,000 for assessed valuation. And everyone understands the difference between assessed valuation and what your house is worth. The assessed valuation is the amount of money that you pay on your taxes. And we had about 64% of the people polled were willing to support that tax range. When the board got together and they heard their report, the first thing they said is, could we structure this bond such, because we believe $16 is too much. How can we get our dollars and still do what we need to do, but not have it be $16 per $100,000 of assessed valuation? The financial people who do those things for a living went back, sharpened their pencils, and were able to come up with a per $100,000 rate of $12.20 per $100,000. So my house is assessed at $225,000. My property taxes, when this bond passes, or if it were to pass, would go up by $30 a year. And times are tough. But somebody asked me this morning when I was out talking with another group, why should we vote for a bond, because we have all these other tax measures on our bond? And I said to them, all I can respond is personally. So I'm going to take my superintendent hat off, and I'm going to talk as Mike Chimeni, a parent of 3 boys, married to a Largo Marcino young lady who's been born and raised in Angels Camp. Let me tell you what I support. I supported the Mark Twain bond. I supported the jail. I supported the Columbia College bond. And why did I do that? I did that because when my wife, because I don't write the checks in my house, but when my wife writes the checks, pays her tax, and we pay our taxes, I know that those tax dollars are going to stay right here in this county. And I can't say that when I write a check and it goes to the state government. And I can't say that when it goes to the federal government. But when I write that $30 check, I know darn well that when I drive by Bret Harte High School, I'm going to see where my $30 went for that year. So the bond is an $18 million bond. The first issuance is going to be around $9 million. The tax rate, again, will not exceed $12.20. And, it's what we need to continue to provide the kinds of educational opportunities for our children that they deserve. One other thing, because, again, the economy is bad, when the consultants and the bankers look at a bond measure and they say it's $18 million, what they do is they take, looking at today's pot of assessed dollars, that if nothing changed, this pot of assessed dollars would pay for the bond over the 25-year period. But what we all know is that people are going to move in and out. More houses are going to be built. And as more people move in and out and more houses are built, that pot of assessed dollars gets bigger. And as that pot of assessed dollars get bigger, this bond that used to cost us $12 per $100,000 is going to be spread out amongst more people. So in actuality, over the 25-year period, because the pot will get bigger, let's hope it gets bigger, we want the economy to improve, our annual contribution will go down because those dollars will be spread. So I think with that, there is a handout. I will take some questions. And Jim, you can, good, you can do this now.
Good job, Mike.
Without
Good job.
without the beer in your hand.
I'll drink some water tonight. Well, I want to talk about commitment. I want to talk about focus, and I want to talk about passion. These flowers you see came from Bret Harte High School students, and I had a little bit to do with it also. So I'm pretty proud of that. But I want to share with you why, when Mike called me and said, I'd like to take you to lunch and get your ideas about this bond. I said, what bond? And then the next thing I knew, I wasn't the committee chairman, but I was hooked in, because I really believe in Mike as a superintendent. Let me tell you a quick story about Mike, and then I got a story about Janie, my daughter, who is a freshman at Azusa Pacific University, who is a recipient of your scholarship, which helps my family and Janie. I have a really good news story. But let me tell you about Mike. Mike is a passionate guy, and he is really focused on the school and the students. And the reason I know that is when I call to try to find out if I can have a visit or check with Mike, I've been working on the Pathways group, with the prevention of violence group for about 3 years with the school district, which we got a grant for $500,000, which we've been spending on trying to help the kids, be more connected, more community-like. I'm a community guy, you're community. Anyhow, when I called to try to find out if Mike's there, he's never there. Does he work? You know where he is? He's taking care of his customers. Who are his customers? The students. I would say that if you asked 5 kids on the Bret Harte High School campus if he knew their names, I'll bet you he would probably know most of their names, if not all of them. Mike is out there wandering around, checking out with his customers, his students. He really has the passion for the kids. And so when Mike asked me to help, there was no question in my mind. I'm a parent. I got a couple of Bret Harte High School graduates. I'm a Bret Harte High School graduate. I don't have any more kids in school. Why should I support it? Because I'm connected to this community, and I am passionate about the community, and I care. And I'm asking you to join me once you find out about Measure K, and you see what a small investment it is, how valuable it is to keep making that commitment to your community. So anyhow, Mike hooks me in, so I'm part of Measure K committee, and I'm out here to kind of encourage you to learn about it and ask him some questions later. He can answer those questions as a superintendent. But talking about commitment, talking about focus, vision, and then talking about passion. I'm really passionate about flowers, even though I'm not a florist or nurseryman anymore. This opportunity to get something going at the high school came along. So I jumped in, both feet first, head first, whatever, and hooked up with Roy Beck and the community. This community ended up donating $33,000 to a project to renovate and bring the greenhouse back into production. I have for you right here, these flowers are the third crop. This is 1,800 plants that the kids just grew that you can find at Murphy's Nursery, you can find them at Sierra Garden Center, you can find them at the Red Store, and they're all there with the kid's name, the label on the plants, and it just shows you what can be done. Now, the environment that these plants came out of wouldn't have the good environment if it wasn't for all your money and my effort and my focus and my passion to help the kids get growing. And that greenhouse sat there for how many years, Mike? 8 or 9 years. And it wasn't that Roy Beck didn't do a good job, it's just that Roy Beck needed some of the other ingredients. We needed some investment, some commitment. We needed somebody who knew how to do it and was willing to donate their time. I mean, you're a service club, you guys know about giving, right? So all those ingredients came together. I'm really proud of the kids. I'm excited to be a part of it. There isn't a day goes by that I'm not thinking about what the kids are doing, what Roy's doing, what we could do better. I have a big list of improvements still that I'm working on, and I'm excited to do it. So when Michael Chimeni said, hey, help do this and get on board, it was just a no-brainer for me. And when I found out how little it cost, it was also another no-brainer. So I'm here to encourage the community, encourage you. Paul Muller's shooting the video, so it's going to be on the cable TV and probably on the pinetree.net. And the whole idea there is to kind of just bring this to the community and let everybody find out about it. So I'm passionate. I'm asking you to come along with me. Thank you. That's it.
Superintendents only put their pants one leg at a time, I guess. We are, and we have to remember that. We can't laugh at ourselves. We can't laugh and enjoy the world. Does anyone have any questions about it? I went fairly quickly. I know, the time is late and things. But, when you go home, if you read the material, my phone number, my direct number is 736-8312. Give me a call. We can talk about it. Again, it's $18 million. It's $12.20 per $100,000 assessed valuation. The immediate things that you will see on the campus would be the aquatic center that would start immediately. And let me talk a little bit. Let me talk about the aquatic center. We have a joint use project right now, which includes tennis courts. And there's not a morning that I arrive at work that there aren't folks playing in our tennis courts. And that's really what we envision for this aquatic center. What we see happening is hiring a pool director our aquatic center director, giving somebody a fancy name. But to have that pool open in the morning for our adults and our senior citizens, yes, it will be incorporated into our PD program. Yes, it will be incorporated into our sports program with the swim team and eventually water polo. But more importantly, it's going to fill that niche for our community members, just like those tennis courts have filled that niche. So, that will happen immediately for our community and for our students. The other projects will happen in a timely manner. We're going to break ground in November on a multi-purpose room, as you folks have been reading about it in the paper. And as crazy as I'm going to pick up that thing and show it on camera, I can't start too many building projects at once on that campus because, you got to make sure that kids are safe and you do things in a timely manner. Luce?
So I just wanted to explain the aquatic center.
Right. It is going to be, we have that, and that will be the completion of our joint use project along with the 2 softball fields, the tennis courts, the baseball field, and the aquatic center. Anything else, folks?
I was
Yes.
wondering, you said something about a library.
In the Copperopolis area?
Yeah. What is that involved with school?
It would be involved in school. And I don't really know how many years ago, but there was a proposition on the ballot that allowed school districts to form partnerships with cities or counties or other nonprofit organizations to provide community centers, libraries for the public. And actually, one of those projects we're doing at Bret Harte now, we're building a multi-purpose room, which will become a community center, and it will be attached to the back of our theater, the Performing Arts Center. And that is a combination of state funding and community funding. That's going to help build that.
Do they have a library in Copperopolis?
I was asked that this morning, and I was told there's a small library, but I use the library as an example of a type of joint use project. It could be another multi-purpose room. What happens is, and so that everyone understands, and thank you, because now I get to talk a little bit more. This is not a 2/3 bond. When I first became superintendent of Vallecito, the Vallecito bond measure, it was a 2/3 vote was required to pass that bond. And being a brand new superintendent, thinking that, oh my gosh, I can go in there and make all this thing happen. The night of the election, we were 7 votes short of passing that bond. And it was only when the absentee ballots were counted that bond measure passed. Shortly, I don't know, maybe 7, 8 years ago, a Prop 39, which is a 55% bond, was passed. And it's going to go right to your question. And there were a lot of safeguards placed within a Prop 39 or 55% bond. And one of them was, when you pass a 2/3 bond, I guess in the state's wisdom is that if you had to jump through all those hoops and get all those votes, we quite frankly really didn't care how you used those dollars. And so a lot of what you'll hear is, are those dollars going to administrative salaries? Are they going to teacher salaries? Or what are they going for? So when the state wrote this proposition and the proposition passed, the threshold to pass this bond is only at 55%. But the law is very specific that you have to have an oversight committee formed of community members who will watch and see how those funds are expended. So when we talk about a joint use project, what the district has done is said in the bond language itself is that there will be money set aside. But really, it's going to be the oversight committee, our Board of Education, and the community to decide that. And I think that's one of the most important things, because this morning somebody said, well, how do we know how that money's spent and how, what's going to happen? But every year, an independent auditor has to come in and they audit those bond expenditures. And that report goes to this oversight committee, number 1, and number 2, then it goes to the Board of Education. So, and the language is very specific that none of the funds can be used to support salaries on a general nature, administrative salaries, or any other cost in a school district that's not associated with the cost of the bond. So when you write language what you try to do is include all of the ideas and points that were made in our community meetings, but you can't be so specific because, sometimes the bond passes, and what you do is you issue the money maybe in half or in thirds, and so by the time you get to the point where you're ready to move forward with that project, what you have to be careful of is that you haven't painted yourself into a corner. So when you say a joint use project, what that means is that it gives you an opportunity to partner with the community or the county to enter into a project that's going to benefit everyone. Yes, ma'am.
Are any of these monies going to be for purchasing land?
No.
So the land is the same?
Good question. When you look at the upgrades to Bret Harte High School in general, that property is going to be on our high school campus. And so what we're looking at, the aquatic, the new swimming pool is going to be across the street where the tennis courts are. That piece of property's already been, it's already in the Bret Harte name. Where the new two-story classroom complex will go, we have 8 portables that are lined up right by the gym, the lower gym. The projects in Copperopolis, when Oak Canyon went in, Oak Canyon promised the district 50 acres. And so at this point, we are currently in escrow for that 50 acres. And as I told the group of folks I met with this morning, is that, in order for us to do anything in Copperopolis, we need to have title of that 50 acres. And they said, okay, so question back to the Bond Oversight Committee, what's going to happen to that money that's been allocated? Because it'll just sit there. Well, the reality is, certain things have to line up just like the stars have to line up. And so in order for us to move forward with the project at Copperopolis and issue those bonds, we have to have title to that property. But that property is being deeded to the district in exchange for the developer fees that would have been collected as part of that, called a mitigated agreement when a development goes in. So none of this money will be used for the purchase of property. Because, let me tell you why. Again, in the Oversight Committee, it's not written into the resolution that the district is going to use bond money to purchase property. Yes?
What are your projections for school population in the next 10 years?
Right now we're in a little bit of a decline when you look at the 2 feeder schools that are coming in. However, when the folks that did our study looked at birth rates, they're thinking that our school will be over 1,000 students in the next 10 years. So we're going to go by 200. And one of our thoughts is, if you should come to, we should do more. You guys should come on campus and do a tour so we can show you our voc ed department, and see the whole thing. Because one of the things that we're doing is unlike most high schools in the state of California, I'm going to get around to the fact that we're trying to create jobs to keep kids in our community. Because I'd love to see us be homegrown too, and not be the second generation, but it would be cool to be the 4th or 5th generation of Bret Harte graduates. So, one of the things that we're very proud of, unlike a lot of high schools, is that we still have state-of-the-art voc ed departments. And once the multi-purpose room is built, we're going to have a culinary arts, because that would tie very nicely into Columbia College. And so what we're trying to do is reinvent ourselves to understand that our mission is educate kids. And as much as we'd love to have every student go off to a 4-year college or to a junior college, some kids are going to turn a wrench. And some kids are going to be cooks. And you know what? They're going to be happy, and they're going to be productive, and ultimately they're going to become taxpayers. And so all the demographics indicate that we're going to be, we're going to grow. Even though it doesn't feel like it right now. Actually, we were supposed to only have 180 freshmen, and we ended up with 220. And so, for me, that's a good sign. That means that we have new folks moving into the area. And so even though we think we're in a depressed housing market right now, maybe houses are at a point where young folks can come and live and start raising their families.
Mike?
Yes?
I would like to just speak about the vocational thing. The people I talk with in the industry about bedding plants and horticulture and technology, there isn't any high school around that I'm aware of that's got the potential that we have. And I've been allowed to work with Roy on, we've got about 7 or 8 kids that are part of this co-op that raised these flowers, and we want to try to stir that interest up and support it. Mike, as the superintendent, has been nothing but positive and encouraging about the whole thing, and Roy, as an ag teacher, they got an awesome ag department. Those kids go to the ag, what is it, the FFA competitions, conventions, national, internet. You've seen them. I mean, the kids are just awesome. They're like little soldiers. They're really great citizens, and they're doing wonderful stuff. And so this is an opportunity for kids to get their hands on. One little girl that's in this program was in the greenhouse one day, and her mom was there, and she said she is just loving this program. And I asked the 7 kids when we had a little meeting about growing the pansies in the mums. One of the girls said, "Why are we growing pansies, Mr. Brigance, if they're so difficult?" I said, "Well, because you're really good. You go and know what to do." And anyhow, that wasn't the answer they wanted to hear. Another one said that the reason she's in the program is she wants to be a nursery woman. Well, there you are, 1 out of 7. I mean, we can take that kid and take him to Modesto JC or Delta and Cal Poly and bring him back here and start an operation in agriculture. Agriculture is a big thing here, right? So, I'm really excited to be a part of this, and this is just starting. We're just getting started, and we need to grow. So what we need is the commitment and the investment to make it happen. And that's what the school needs from us.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mike, you brought a good point about spending money where you see it on the campus, you see your money spent and things like that. When you send your money off to the federal or state government, it comes back in the form of a state prison, but you don't see it here, but where they spend $30,000, $35,000 a year on a prisoner, where they spend $3,000, $4,000 a year on a high school kid or a kid in school. The numbers just don't crunch right. I'd much rather see my money. That's what the Mark Twain bond. That's why I decided to vote for that, because if you can save one kid by making them want to go to school and enjoy school with your $18 a year or $30 a year type of thing, from becoming a murderer or a convict or something like that, it was well worth my $30 a year just for it to come back to for saving one kid. To save the grief of that family that is with the victim, and then it just all multiplies down of what the value is, what the importance of it is. So, I was looking, it's tough in Texas. But you know what? Education is what keeps them off the streets, keeps them out of jails. And, it's just wrong they spend that kind of money on a prisoner. They get all the rights in the world, and kids in school, teachers have to buy their own pickles for them out of their own money sometimes. So something's wrong with the system. This is a good way to fix it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I know the hour's late, and you've been patient, and our bellies are full, but thank you again. And if you ever want to tour the high school and actually see what we're doing in action, we're very proud. You can tell I'm a proud papa. I am very proud of what we do there and the commitment we make to our students and the commitment the community makes. So, thank you.
I was going to get in trouble if she watches this video. So she called today, and her first grade and her first paper in college, and it's an A. And the teacher said it's a English essay, and the teacher said that you're writing in the top 10% of your class. So I'm really proud as a dad. You guys gave us $1,000 to help further education. $695 of it got spent on her first semester's books. So thank you. Thank you.
I can't thank you also enough for being here tonight and bringing us up to speed on grade A. And we wish you a lot of success with your enthusiasm and drive. The two of you, I know you can get it passed.
Well, I appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.